I'm very healthy. I eat carefully. I don't drink much. I like a glass of champagne. I've got...
Barbara Taylor Bradford is 90 years old, but nothing about her personality would give that away. She has written 39 novels and sold 30 million copies all over the world. But she's not planning to stop anytime soon. To her, age is just a number. But what's the secret to her perfect health? Why does she never seem to get old? You might be surprised, but it's all about her diet. There are certain foods she avoids at all costs, and doing so keeps her healthy and happy. Want to know more about it? Let's find out. Foods she would never eat. Behind everything Barbara has eliminated from her diet, there's a significant reason. She needs to keep her mind sharp and prevent diseases, which is why the 3 things she avoids are desserts, salt, and excessive carbs. Drinks like coffee are also a no-go for her because both of these tend to bring your immunity down, just like eating loads of sweet stuff. Desserts are known to cause serious health complications, especially in older people, so she avoids those at all costs. But those aren't the only things that she avoids. Barbara uses almost no salt in her food because maintaining a healthy blood pressure is important to her. In old age, it's very common for blood pressure to fluctuate, but weight gain is just as common. When older people let go of themselves, they gain a lot of weight, which leads to several unpleasant diseases developing within their bodies. But not Barbara, because she keeps her carb intake at the lowest possible level. This means that she can stay fit and sharp. But why is she so particular about her diet? Her history with food explains it all. Barbara's cooking habits. She grew up during the war, which meant that her meals were limited by food ration books and coupons. The moment she first saw an orange and a banana, she almost couldn't recognize these things as edible items. However, her mother's culinary skills ensured that their family always enjoyed delicious meals. They enjoyed chicken, roasts, and hearty stews. Barbara learned these recipes from her mother, and to this day, these are the dishes she loves to prepare. One of her obsessions from her childhood is fish and chips, which is something she still enjoys despite her strictly healthy diet. In the winter months, Barbara prepares lamb stew pretty frequently. Slow-cooked, savory dishes appeal to her, especially when she gets absorbed in a book and runs the risk of burning her pots and pans. For her stew, she thoughtfully chooses shoulder and neck cuts from the butcher. Following her mother's wisdom, she coats the meat with flour and lightly sears it to lock in the flavor. Using a chicken broth from the same trusted butcher, she complements the dish with carrots, onions, and a bouquet garni. The result is a flavorful stew that not only appeals to her taste buds, but is also very healthy. Essentially, lamb has several minerals and vitamins. This stands as proof that you can eat healthy stuff, and it can still be very tasty. But there's a reason why she can put hours upon hours into preparing these meals. Cooking serves as a source of relaxation for her, especially after a long day of writing. It allows her to connect with her domestic side, setting aside her career persona for a while. Over 4 decades of marriage, Barbara has adapted her cooking to her husband's preferences. Her deep fat fryer, which she bought for making perfect chips, rarely gets used because of her healthy preferences. She has never liked salty food, so avoiding that in her diet wasn't a hard choice either. Whenever she's eating, instead of dessert, she goes for fresh fruits, especially during their peak season. Blueberries, strawberries, and cherries are her favorite ones. Occasionally, as a little treat to herself, Barbara enjoys a tin of creamy custard, which she buys from the English food store in New York. This simple pleasure, along with a touch of salad cream, brings her comfort and nostalgia. This isn't exactly a healthy addition to her diet, which is why she would have this very rarely. Now, her diet sounds very healthy, but what would a doctor say about it? Dr. Brifa's analysis. It's safe to say that he is impressed with the novelist's diet, but he did find some flaws in it. Fish has some great nutritional value, but he's not so sure about the batter and chips often served with it. The concern lies in their high carbohydrate and omega-6 oil content, which should be consumed in moderation. But since this is only a rare addition to Barbara's overall well-balanced diet, it's not a problem. You're allowed to enjoy yourselves occasionally. When it comes to lamb neck, Dr. Brifa gives it a thumbs up. It's a protein-rich primal food. Sometimes its reputation is affected by concerns over its saturated fat content, but there's a lack of evidence linking saturated fat to adverse health effects. The doctor also points out that the primary fat in lamb is monounsaturated, which carries potential heart health benefits. Both chicken broth and stock are considered healthy by the doctor. They include calcium and magnesium, alongside components that are crucial for cartilage and tendon health. This may just be the reason behind Barbara's healthy joints. While Dr. Briffa acknowledges the nutritional value of fruit, he also recognizes its high sugar content. What sets Barbara's fruit choices apart is their balance between rich nutrition and relatively low sugar content, making them a wise dietary selection. But when it comes to tinned custard, it may not be the best thing in the doctor's opinion. It tends to be sugary and not very good for health. But much like fish and chips, the occasional indulgence does not undermine the overall healthiness of Barbara's diet. While butter is mostly considered harmful to one's health, the doctor thinks otherwise. A majority of butter's composition consists of saturated fat. According to current scientific evidence, this doesn't play a significant role in heart disease. Butter also contains monounsaturated fat, which may even promote heart health. So Barbara can eat all the butter she wants without feeling bad about it. But her diet isn't the only thing to thank for her good health. Several other habits help her stay on top of the game. What Barbara does in a day. If there's one thing she truly swears by, it's the importance of a good night's sleep. Her bedtime routine usually kicks in around 10:30 or 11 p.m. Now, if she decides to catch a bit of TV with her husband before calling it a night, they go to a different room. That way, the room they sleep in stays separate and secure. Usually, she gets in quite a few hours of sleep, but when there's a book to be written, her alarm buzzes at the crack of dawn. Around 6 a.m., she wakes up quietly so that her husband doesn't wake up and eats her breakfast in the office. Most of you might be surprised, but work starts immediately after she wakes up. On writing-free days, she usually wakes up around 7 a.m. without any sense of urgency. As we've already talked about, she's no stranger to mindful eating. She knows that her weight tends to play tricks on her, so she treads lightly. The day starts with a cup of joe around 8 a.m., followed by a toasted muffin and a friendly banana. Lunch is the lightest meal for her, as she often eats a fresh salad with endive, beetroot, and a dash of smoked salmon. As for dinner, she goes all out with sole, branzino, and the occasional fish cake, or a comforting bowl of bolognese. Her work life revolves almost entirely around writing. A lot of the time, she gets asked why she continues to write, even after so many years, but her answer is simple: she adores it. The thought of idle hours doesn't sound appealing to her, because her life revolves around routines and schedules. Her typical day begins with some editing of the previous day's work, and then the creative juices start flowing. A break at 1 p.m. is almost mandatory for her, and by 4 or 4:30 p.m., she wraps it up. She sneaks in hourly strolls to keep the inspiration alive. The most interesting part of it all is that she refrains from using computers. She can handle them, but she'd rather flip through the pages of her library. Even with such busy schedules and strict routines, Barbara's marriage has persisted for over 60 years. But what's the secret? According to her, she always maintains respect, understanding, and love in the relationship. It's all about having shared interests and political views. Even though she went through 2 miscarriages, she is not one to dwell on the past. She doesn't have a lot of siblings and cousins to connect with. But they've got a goddaughter, a Spanish lawyer who's now happily hitched. They visit her all the time. As you can probably tell, Barbara's all about the joys of friendship. Close girlfriends and their husbands who fit right in keep her entertained and fulfilled. Not only do they have fun adventures together, but they also travel together with their favorite Caribbean cuisine. While her husband soaks up the sun, she finds her note under a beach umbrella, eagerly diving into a book. So, the secret of her health lies in quite a few crucial aspects of her life. She maintains a routine and a stable sleep schedule. This keeps her mind fresh and her body in the right zone. She keeps herself busy doing something she loves, so she never gets bored. Plus, her mind always remains in a healthy space because of how productive it is. To add the cherry on top, her nurturing relationships with her loved ones keep her happy. And nothing works better than happiness when it comes to keeping a person away from aging. After looking at everything Barbara does to stay healthy, you might be wondering, at the age of 90, what can she still do? Things Barbara can still do. Some might think that she can sprint up the stairs, but that's not the case. The most she can manage is a brisk walk because a few years back, she encountered tendinitis. Her tendon got inflamed because of the flat shoes she wore while exploring Istanbul during her book research. Her New York-based doctor came to the rescue with cortisone injections, and this regimen lasted several months, eventually easing the pain in her foot and ankle. While she keeps her diet healthy, she does indulge in fun activities. She smoked for 10 years until her 40s, after which she stopped. As of now, she likes to enjoy an occasional glass of champagne or red wine whenever she's having a meal. She may not look 90, but her body is, which means that random pains are a regular part of her life. So, how does she deal with them? Barbara usually goes for some painkillers. Usually, she doesn't let it get in the way of her work, even if she's got broken bones. In the mid-80s, her right wrist took a hit, landing her in a plaster cast. But she continued with her typing like nothing happened. A broken left shoulder in her early 90s was even more painful. Multiple fractures had her in a sling for several weeks, waiting for the healing magic to do its work. This shows that despite Barbara's dedication to a healthy lifestyle, some things are out of her control, like the diseases she inherited at birth. Her father's susceptibility to chest infections got passed down to her. He battled pneumonia at 81, and the coughing fits led to his death in 1981. But Barbara has made sure she tries her best to live her years on this earth comfortably, without any diseases getting in the way. Even at 90, she's got more to achieve than you can imagine. Found this video insightful? Give it a like and subscribe to our channel.